Welcome to our presentation on peer-mediated social skills training, presented by Roxana, Claire, OG, and Carol. Peer-mediated social skills training is a strategy used with students who require support in acquiring social skills. It is often referred to as peer-mediated support or peer-mediated instruction and intervention. According to the Association for Science in Autism Treatment, it is very simply instruction that utilizes peers as teachers. A child with ASD is paired up with a carefully selected peer. The peer is systematically trained in ways to interact with and prompt the student with ASD. Opportunities for interaction are created between the student with ASD and his assigned peer. The student with ASD is taught various skills by the peer rather than by an adult. Although this strategy can be used with students who have any type of exceptionality, it is commonly used with students who have ASD because of the general tendency of individuals with ASD to require intensive instruction in social skill development. Here you can see a visual representation of what the peer-mediated support approach looks like in comparison to the traditional teacher-mediated support approach. In the first picture, we see the traditional approach where an adult acts as the direct instructor to the student with ASD. The student is expected to take prompts from the educator and apply them to social situations with his peers. In contrast to this, in the second picture, we see the peer-mediated approach, where a carefully selected peer is trained by the educator in the strategy. With coaching from the educator, the peer provides prompts to the student with ASD. The trained peer guides the student with ASD in the acquisition of skills by including him in various peer-to-peer social situations. According to the Association for Science in Autism Treatment, there are two ways peer-mediated support can be used. The first is peer imitation or modeling. The child with ASD uses a peer as a model for how to perform a target activity or action. The child with autism will then attempt to match the behavior of the peer demonstrator. The second way is peer tutoring. As with peer modeling, the peer acts as a demonstrator of a specific activity or action, but the peer will also provide direct instruction. The student with ASD will then attempt to perform the action as modeled and directed. The peer tutor may then assess the accuracy of the action and provide reinforcement or praise. According to Sue Whiffen, the Avon-Maitland District School Board Autism Support Director, the peer-mediated support approach to teaching social skills increases attention and interaction between peers of all abilities, improves play and conversation skills between students with ASD and typically developing students, and minimizes adult support, resulting in greater independence.
According to Battaglia and Bradley, there are 4 simple steps for implementing peer-mediated social skills training. Step number 1 is selecting peers. Seacoast Mental Health Center indicated that peer coaches are not randomly selected. They are carefully chosen based on their personalities and their skills. In order to be selected as peer models or peer tutors, candidates should be identified as having empathic nature, leadership qualities, excellent communication, and problem-solving skills. The second step for implementing peer-mediated social skills training is identifying social interaction target behaviors and collecting data. We need to verify what social behaviors are used and if any inappropriate behaviors are being displayed. Examples of target behaviors include looking at peers, parallel play, taking turns, exchanging materials, requesting items, or asking to play. Activities can be documented using data collection sheets like the one presented in this slide. Step 3 is choosing and implementing a peer-mediated intervention strategy. For the peer-mediated intervention to be effective, school personnel must carefully select peers and match the type of skill deficit with an appropriate intervention strategy. First, peers are trained to initiate social interactions and respond to social interactions. It is important to develop and implement a plan that would outline when the behavior will occur, what the target skill is, and how will the evaluator know when the skill is mastered. Step number 4 is monitoring progress. It is important to observe and document behavior of learners with ASD to evaluate their progress. Also, we need to determine if peer coaches need additional support or training. Answers to following questions should be assessed. Did the learner participate in the activity? Yes or no? Did peers and learners seem to enjoy the activity? Yes or no? Did the activity contain materials and promoted social interactions? Yes or no? Did the activity promote positive or negative interactions? What changes should be made in the arrangement of the intervention setting to improve social interactions? Do any changes need to be made to the peers included in the activity, different peers, additional training? Peer-mediated social skills training is effective in clinical and school-based settings from preschool to high school age groups and can be implemented with first or small groups of learners across age range. Evidence supports the use of peer-mediated social skills training to develop and improve social outcomes, communication, joint attention, and play among younger students and older students benefit mostly in the areas of social networking and academic contexts.
Peer-mediated social skills training has many positive effects on children with ASD. Children with autism often have communication and social deficits. Many research has shown that there are an increase of frequency and duration of social interaction followed by peer mediation, an increase in the number of communication acts directly toward peers. The students with ASD will have diverse social skills through interacting with peers and experience acceptance that may result in new friendship at school. For students with ASD who also have challenging behaviors, the study also indicated that after the students received the peer mediation intervention, there was a decrease of aggression and self-injury behaviors. Peer-mediated social skills training also have benefits for the peer mentor. Through helping peers with autism, the peer mentors will learn more about these exceptionalities and reduce the fears toward pathways with ASD, which also helps them build friendships. The peer mentor will develop empathy and enhance their understandings toward peers with ASD, and make them to be more aware of their classmates with special needs, which ultimately contributes to the generalization of peer acceptance outside of the school setting and foster real social inclusion. The other benefits of peer-mediated social skill training includes teachers will have the chance to learn a strategy that will effectively help the students with ASD to be more accepted at school and more successful in their peer interactions. Parents of students with ASD and the peer mentor will be happy to know that their children attend schools with an inclusive environment and welcome students with a range of diverse skills and abilities. As peer-mediated social skills training helps children with ASD improve their social skills and their ability to communicate, it will facilitate their inclusion in a mainstreaming setting and decrease social isolation and bullying towards students with ASD.
Here's an example of peer-mediated video. This is an effective technique for a wide range of students, including students often feel less intimidated by pen than the teacher. The use of pen-mediated models for children encourages the student to perform the action as model and can improve social skills, responses, and interactions. In this video, the pair model turning off the lights, model appropriate task completion, and also provide direct instruction. This is another example of pair-mediated approach. This is an activity you can do to get students with ASD to interact, like starting and engaging in conversations, taking turns in sharing. In this activity, during this section, you can see the teacher is always around to observe, provide frequent corrective feedback, and instructions as needed. This activity initiates social interactions, social responses, and social communications. Limitations of pair-mediated training. Age. Kindergarten students may sometimes lack the experience, and the teacher has to be with the student and help all times to give direct instructions. It's sometimes challenging to implement, particularly as the tutoring to being performed by children rather than trained professionals. 2. Using same review materials. During tutoring sections, some parents might find it boring and using the same materials, and this can lead to behavior sometimes. 3rd, pairing the students. The matching process for the students in the self-contained classroom may be difficult because some students with special needs are more interested in working with typical pairs. If the student and the pair do not get along with each other, the intervention will not be successful. Attendance. Students' absence is another problem when teachers and pair face. Participation is affected by schedule changes and illness. It's very important to have a backup. Curricular materials. Teachers may find the preparation of curricular materials to use during pair tutoring intervention to be a limitation because they may need to create new materials to use in a pair tutoring format. Time consuming. Creating variations of these materials depending on the academic level of both students can be labor intensive and time consuming.
Here are our reference pages. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We will be happy to respond to any questions or comments. Please leave us a message on the class discussion board.